gentlemen, it's time for George.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Showtime Satch, and today, man, we are here to talk about salary cap in 2K23 MyLeague, NBA eras, however you prefer to call it. Doesn't really matter. It is the same thing. We all know what we're talking about here. And I'm going to be breaking down the financial situation of how the game works, man. You know, a lot of people will turn the salary cap off because they don't really care, or they just don't really know, and there's no real resources out there to inform them, you know, how the salary cap works. And that's what I'm here to do today. Now, if you guys learn anything from this video, like and sub. I will go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing you need to know is the soft cap. So the soft cap is set by the league. I think right now it's sitting at about 130 million. You know, but that what the soft cap does is it limits your ability to sign new players. So let's say, you know, there's Stephen Curry, he wants 40 million, but you are currently only 30 million under cap. Let's say you got 100 million on contract, and there's 130 million cap room. So he wants more than you can give, so you can only give that guy $30 million. That's what the soft cap does. You know, prevents you from signing new players. And also what it can do is it can, if you are at the salary cap level or if you are above it, you cannot take on more money via trade. So, you know, if you're trading a guy that's making $2 million for a guy who's making $10 million, if you're over the cap or if the, you know, less than $8 million under it, you cannot take on that contract. You cannot go over the soft cap for trade. Now, if it was like that, the league would be very boring. There are plenty of exceptions that allow you to go over this soft cap. Now, I will warn you if you're playing on the, you know, every relationship, and you know, you got you can get fired and stuff like that. If you're doing that, if you go into the soft cap, your team will be paying luxury tax, so that will hurt your finances. But you know, me personally, I turn all of that stuff off. If you're going into that world, you need to take the soft cap a lot more seriously. But if you're playing online MyLeague, or if you are playing without those features on, you should really take advantage of the exception. So the first exception is going to be the team player option. Team options are most common when it comes to rookie deals. Whenever every rookie that signs a contract will sign 2 years guaranteed plus a 2-year team option. Team option is a predisposed amount. So if it's, I think the new rookies now make about 10 million. They're a top pick on those the last 2 years, and now you can, as a team, you can either accept or decline. If you accept, you don't have to worry about going over the cap. You know, if you're already at the cap level and you take on that 10 million, it is fine. You can go over the soft cap to accept that contract. Team options, you can also put it on a player when you're signing them. Either there's like a menu, I'll throw it up. You can select team or player or none. Now the player option is reserved more for these upper echelon players. You know, guys like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're going to be making. You're going to want to offer them player options because they like that more. They get more freedom. The way that works is instead of you choosing, the player chooses. So once it gets to that, you know, that situation right before free agency, they will tell you, hey, I'm taking this contract and come back for another season on the money we've already discussed. Or they say they decline it and then they're a free agent. So, you know, if that player accepts, once again, you don't have to worry about the cap. It is an exception to the cap, and it doesn't matter. Now, the next thing to go into is bird rights. Bird rights are a little more complicated, but they essentially have the way they work is if a player has played 4 or more years with your team, or if they were on a contract that was 4 years or longer, you can give them, there are plenty of bird right rules that exist. So the first one, you can go over the cap to re-sign them. So if you know, if you're currently at the cap level, let's say you're 20 million under the cap and you're trying to re-sign Steph Curry. Steph Curry's been with the Warriors for, you know, well over 4 years, so you can go into bird rights, which means you can give them up to 35% of the cap. So if the cap is at 130 million, you know, you can give them 35% of that, you know, like 45, I think. Didn't just do the math off my head, but you can give them however much that money is. So that is more money than any other team will offer them, because the normal team offered them can only give them 30% of the cap. So you get an extra, you know, 5 million there you can offer the player. The other rule that comes with bird rights is the you can give them 8% interest per year. So the normal interest rate is 5%, which is called a backloaded contract. Every year they make 5% more. With the bird rights, they'll make 8% more. So you're going to pay them more. But once again, if it's an upper echelon player, you really want to re-sign them, you got to give them all the money you can, so that he will come back to your team. So those are the main ideas with the bird years. And now another idea is you can give them a 5th year. So the typical contract length in the league is 4 years. With a bird contract, you can give them an extra 5th year. Now, you don't have to do any of these things. These are all options, but they are the rights that you have when you have these bird rights. And to explain a little further, so another way it works, so other than him playing for your team for 4 years, let's say he was on a 4-year contract with the Bulls and you trade for him on his 4th year, at the end of that season, you will still retain the bird rights that the Bulls had in that guy. The only way you wouldn't have the bird rights is if he was cut and then you signed him for like a 1 year, then the bird rights go away, but they do pass along with trade. The next thing to note are restricted free agents. Now, restricted free agents goes back kind of the rookie contract idea because they only appear on rookies. So, not rookies, but players that had signed a rookie contract. So on their 4th year, they finished that last team option if you gave it to them. Now that they're going to their 5th year. Into that 4th and 5th year transition, they're going to still be on your team as a restricted free agent. Now, the way you get a restricted free agent, you have to offer them a qualifying offer. So at the end, it really pops up. It's really simple. Either hit accept or decline on the qualifying offer. If you give them a qualifying offer, I think it's going to be about 10 or 12 million or so, depending on what year you're in. But it could be about $12 million. It's a 1-year deal. But the best part about it is that if they decide to accept another contract, let's say the Phoenix Suns offer them 4 years, $200 million, you can match that offer. And then so they will come back to your team on whatever offer they accepted. So if they accepted the $200 million deal, then you got to give them the $200 million deal. If they accepted a 1-year deal, you got to give them the 1-year deal. It's just kind of, you can match the rights. So it's really good to retain young guys and keep them for a few extra years. But that's all with the restricted free agents. Finally, we go to the mid-level exception. Now, this also depends, like I said, now with the MyLeague eras, you can play at 1983, 91 is an option, 2003 is an option. So the mid-level exception, I think, was instituted in about 98. I'm not too specific on the date, but the way that it works is that it averages out every contract in the league. So when it started, it was at about 3 million. I think nowadays it's about the 8 million. And that is kind of like an additional cap room. So this is the only exception you can use to sign other players. So let's say, you're the Toronto Raptors and you want to sign Tyler Herro. Let's say he's a free agent. You can give him up to $8 million a year under that mid-level exception, and you can sign him and bring him onto your team. So that's really useful for, if you have like a big three and you kind of all your money pooled up into these couple guys, you just need like 1 or 2 role players, you can give up a mid-level exception. Now, you only get however much money it is, $8 million. You can split it between however many players you want, but that is all. You can't give like 2 $8 million contracts. You only give 1. So that is how the mid-level exception works. And now that is the end of all the exceptions. Now, finally, there's a thing called hard cap. So as we're talking about the soft cap, they have all these exceptions to go over with. The hard cap, there are no exceptions. And the hard cap is extremely high. It's 180% of the salary cap, or the soft cap. So if the soft cap's at 100 million, you have up to 180 million with these exceptions that you can give out until you are done. You cannot go over this hard cap limit for any reason. Now there's another thing to bring up, which is dead cap. So a lot of people that come from football or these other sports, the way it works in those sports, you can cut someone and then that's it. You don't have to deal with it anymore. And basketball contracts are fully guaranteed. So that means that if you cut a guy making $10 million for the next 3 years, you got to pay him that $10 million for the next 3 years, whether you cut him or not. So it is, you really never, ever want to cut someone in 2K. There are very few scenarios where it makes logical sense because instead, if you decide to trade that player, you no longer have to pay that contract. So that contract is traded with them. So if you are playing with in a league that has mostly computers, and there's not a lot of people, you can easily trade a bad contract to any computer team, and they'll always take it. They don't want to take that into consideration. Now, if you're playing with real people and nobody wants this guy, and you might have to cut him, but even then, you really should try and find a way to get rid of that contract because it'll come back to bite you. When you're missing that salary cap when trying to sign extra guys. Now, that is all when it comes to the financial rules. Now, I do have a few tips to teach you guys how to get the best team. Now, as I was just talking about, when it comes to these really bad contracts, you really want to try and trade them away. Even sometimes you might have to give up a first-round pick just to get out of the contract. But sometimes that would be useful for you. If you're a contending team, you just need one more piece. And this, you got Joakim Noah making $20 million a year. It might not be a bad idea to give up a first-round pick just to get rid of the guy. So that's something to consider as well. But that really only applies to user leagues. If you're playing with all computers, normally they'll take any contract and they don't really care. And now backing off that, expiring contracts are also very useful in the league. So if a guy's on his last year of his deal, that's something you would want to consider about picking up, because even though the guy's going to be off your team next year, his contract is also going to be off the team. So even if it's an expire, it really is best when it comes to these veteran players that are on their last legs of the contract. So a guy like LeBron James, who's making $40 million, but he's already almost 40, so you might not really want to re-sign him. You can take that contract in, let him walk, and now you have $40 million to work with to sign younger guys. Another thing to notice is, first round picks are very valuable. If you have a contending team, even sometimes if you're trying to, win over multiple years, picking up a nice rookie and getting like a top 10 pick, for one, the contracts can be very cheap. So, relatively speaking, so you're going to have a good player on a cheap contract, and you don't have to worry about re-signing these guys and hitting that hard cap limit. Because if you get a really, really good team, that hard cap limit might start to edge in. And, getting these young guys on, $8 million, $10 million deals when other players of their caliber are asking for 20, 30, can be very useful. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the tips I got for you. If you guys learned something, please like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.
Flying like an astronaut, like Will and the hook shot. I'm the long shot. Jackpot, 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 jackpot. Riding around the block, shooting those shots. You know that I'm hot.